guys are both sisters and you both make music together. And I was just listening to some of the tracks and I was like, no way, like this music is coming out from these two girls. Your music it feels like very raw and strong. I'm really impressed, I have to be honest. If you could tell me a little bit about how you started with your music and how is your relationship, you know, as sisters and then making music together, how does that work?
We started making music together when I was in like 5th grade, maybe professionally in the studio, and we started making tracks. And before that, we had already been writing and singing basically our whole lives, and it just all escalated up until we started doing it professionally when we realized it's something you can actually pursue as a career if you really work for it.
Growing up in the Middle Eastern culture, like, it's not really something that you realize that you can actually take and make a career out of it and make a living off of it, especially like a lot of our family like thinks it's kind of crazy. Like, it's not normal in the culture at all to start make a living off music or singing. It's like kind of crazy.
It's also like looked down upon.
Yeah, especially for girls, which is kind of crazy, but we want to take a stand for that. We want to make a change for all women, especially the women in the culture who want to be able to do what they want. Because, I mean, it's your life. You should be able to do what you want, and you should never care what people think because everyone's going to say something no matter what.
Was there a moment where your parents were like, oh, we don't want you guys to do this, we don't want it, and then something happened that they were like, okay, they're serious?
When I was a very small little infant, I would copy the vocals from Sleeping Beauty, Aurora, when she's in the forest, and she's like, ha, 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 and I would copy that. And my parents would be like, oh my gosh, is that her? And then they said I had like a gift of song, and everyone would stop and be like, is that the little girl? Like, music truly is my passion. I could never do anything else. Like, I'm a singer in my blood. Like, that's what I do. And same thing with her and her writing.
Like, adding to that, like, I taught myself how to read when I was, like, 3. So, yeah, I've always been writing, too. Ever since I, like, picked up a pencil, I figured it out.
And, like, I truly believe that God put us as sisters for a reason. Because there's no way random sisters would have this gift of this talent of writing.
And then that gift.
And then this gift. And, like, together we make, like you said, music that's full of passion and it's raw and you can feel it and you can relate to it. And it makes you feel like you're not on earth anymore, like you're in a different realm. Like you really, because music is a universal language. I mean, it doesn't matter what culture you're from, what race you are, what color you are, any of that, what religion, nothing, because music touches all people.
And we definitely channel, like, our emotions into it, but I'll write about something, and then it's something that I relate to specific in my life. And then she'll sing it, and it'll be the same lyrics, and maybe it's because we're sisters and we're connected, but she'll also relate to it in her life with something totally different.
Yeah.
So I write it for a reason, and then she sings it for a reason, so, like, the songs always have, like, 2 meanings.
And it's very relatable. Like, even if you're, you know, a listener and you're just listening to the song, like, you'll be able to relate to it. Like you said, you will hear the passion. You'll hear that it's real music, because we want to bring real music back. Like, especially recently, I feel like a lot of artists and everything is so focused on technology and auto-tuning this and melodyning your notes here because you're not on pitch and let's fix this up. Because, like, let's face it, a lot of artists nowadays, they're not really singers like that. If you had a good voice, everyone would want to come see you sing, but now it's all technology and remixing this and auto-tuning this and doing this, and it's like, whoa, what happened to real music? Like, for example, we both grew up singing at the Detroit Opera House. You know, like, we were trained with solfege, we were trained, and, like, we wouldn't have even done this had we not had a passion for music and singing and writing in the first place. So we took what we were born with and we kind of ran with it.
You see a lot of kids who have a little bit of talent, and everyone, when they're little, they might sing in the choir, and everyone thinks, oh, my kid is very talented.
Right.
But you guys took it professionally really quick, and you went a step ahead. So what was the process, and how did you guys manage to take that talent and go beyond?
You have to start somewhere, and I think we realized that at a point that, like, we always knew kind of like, oh, we want to do this, like, we want to be, like, have an influence, we want to, like, be in music, we want to just, you know, spread our emotions and just be able to help people just through literally the universal language of music. And in order to do that, obviously you have to defy a lot of odds and just beat everything, and especially Middle Eastern culture. Like, our parents, our mom always supported us and our dad supports us too, but there was a turning point where I think both of them realized this is what they're going to do, and either we accept it or it's just like an estranged relationship and it's just not worth it. You know, at a point they realized, like, they came to this country for us to have our dream, right? And then for us to, our kids to have an even better life, and so on and so forth. And how are we supposed to do that if we don't go above and beyond what they expected of us? And I think realizing that just totally pushed us into pursuing it so young.
Again, I really truly believe that, like, this is our purpose. Like, I was growing up singing, like, that's all I wanted to do. I grew up in the church choir, singing in church choir, and I would get opera solos. We both sang at the Detroit Opera House, and we were in a few operas there, like Don Giovanni and Carmina Burana, you know? I actually got to sing a whole bunch of gospel, because we both grew up in Detroit, so I would go around different churches on Sundays, and I would get called by different preachers to come sing at their churches, and they'd all be like, wow, who is that little white girl? Like, she could really sing. Because Detroit has a really tough audience, like, they don't want to mess around with, like, performers who are going to waste their time or anything. Like, they won't clap for you, literally. But I actually, through that, singing at different churches every Sunday, I got invited to perform at Obama's inauguration ceremony in Detroit, the first election, and I actually got to sing At Last by Etta James, which is, like, a really popular jazz song, if not one of the most popular jazz songs, and I actually got a standing ovation from doing that. So, like, I love it. I you know, like, this is where I'm gonna...
Oh, and after that, I bet mom and dad were like, okay, yeah.
Believe it or not, it was still shaky after that.
Really?
After that, we started recording covers, I think. And then from that point, studio owner, who also was engineering, and she, you know, she would come to the sessions and everything. He was like, oh, guys, enough covers. Start writing, making your own music. And then she started writing, and then blah, blah.
And that's
Okay.
kind of where we figured it out.
Okay, so then tell me about that process of you writing. How do you find it? How does that work?
When I was in, like, I want to say, like, 3rd grade, 4th grade, I would just sit down with, like, a pencil and write lyrics and sing them with a melody. And there wouldn't be any music or track behind it, you know, no production. But I would just write it on paper and then put it away in, like, a box. So then when all this started happening and we were in the studio and it just kind of happened, like, I would hear a beat and they were like, okay, write a song. And it was even easier when I was younger because I just wasn't thinking as much, you know, the world hadn't gotten to me as much. So I would literally just just write in 2 seconds, the whole thing would be done. And I didn't even realize, I don't think, what I was doing at the time. But now I realize, like, it's a big talent, like, it's not easy to do at the time. I kind of thought it was something that you can just do. But, like, it's not.
Has your process changed and improved now that you're older? Do you have specific techniques where you're, like,
Definitely.
looking at a composition and you know, okay, this shouldn't be like this, this could be better, like where you can
Totally.
actually
Yeah,
analyze?
I don't want to say a formula, but there's definitely
A basic structure.
a structure for songs. And, like, there's top 40 structure, there's alternative, there's all different types of structures you can do. But I think it really matters on the artist, the type of song, and, like, what it's about. Like, if you want a song to just blow up on, like, the radio, you're gonna have to, not have to, but most likely do a specific structure where it's like a verse, and then a this, and then the hook, and then the bridge, and then whatever. When you do more alternative stuff, which we love to do, it's something that I've strayed away from as much lately because, you know, I'm making more, like, stuff that will just go to the whole worldwide ear, but making alternative music just comes naturally, I think, to me. Figuring that out wasn't hard. It was harder to figure out what I have to do for what type of artist, what type of song, rap, pop, R&B, this, that.
If someone is
So-
trying to get started writing right now, what would you recommend they do? Should they learn some kind of structure and do that, or should they go and freestyle and try to see what comes out and then improve it?
Do what comes to your heart, the words, and whatever comes to your brain and whatever you end up singing. Because initially, whatever your ear hears the music to be, you will sing that matches that. And if you love writing and you're a songwriter, you will be able to just hear a track, write to it, and then choose your best parts and make a song, regardless if you know a structure or
No,
not.
but I mean, there should be basic structure regardless. Like, you want like, the hook to come back and be the same
You
hook.
want, exactly, but
know?
that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're a songwriter, you have that ear.
But he's saying someone who started.
Yeah,
So
someone
they
who's
don't
starting.
know.
Okay, yeah, no, then still though, write whatever it sounds, because the hook repeats and then the verses repeat and the beat sounds the same at certain parts of the song. So if you can recognize that, you just make parts that, like, according to that match it, and you'll have, like, a well-structured song.
When you guys have a song, what's the process like when you come to the picture?
Okay.
How does that change?
I like this question. But basically, I want to say it depends on the song. So a lot of songs, like every song that we do, we approach differently, you know, depending on the vibe, what we're kind of going for with it. Like some songs, she'll sit there and freestyle over it and then pick her best parts. Some other songs where I'm feeling the track, like I want to freestyle, and then I'll choose my best parts, and then we'll go from there. Or maybe I'll freestyle with random words and gibberish, but like a basic topic that comes to my head, but I'll take those melodies.
And then other
You know?
times
And
I'll
then
like
she'll write
hear the
over it.
track and then just write to it, and then
Okay.
she'll go lay that down. Depending, it all depends.
So tell me about La La Land,
Okay.
the song that we were talking about.
Yeah.
How did that one happen?
And we were this
Okay.
great Grammy Award, like renowned producer, whatever, the best. And he was with this great writer, the best again, whatever. And they gave us a beat, and the beat was all right. And I sang the hook, I'm living in la 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 la, right? And they were like, no, that's not good. That's horrible. We hate it. And I was like, all right. So I wrote it in my
took it to a
notes. I
different
recorded it. I
producer.
saved it. So then that's where her story comes in. We made a different song with them. Didn't even end up using it because it wasn't good. Moving on. We went to the different producer another time, and we were trying to, like she said, make a song. We made a beat, and I pulled out that hook and I pulled it out, and then it just
And I got to freestyle a whole bunch of the verses and the bridge, and I love doing bridges because I can make it huge, kind of, and take the song to a different direction before it comes back to the regular sound of the song. Because the bridge is like, literally think of a bridge, it takes you somewhere else. You know what I mean? So I like doing that with my bridges and my music. I also love after the song's done and she's done with the writing and with the words and the top line's all set, you know, the main line. Love coming back and freestyling like I said, I love putting opera in my music, classical stuff, some jazz ad-libs, some like, you know, whether I'm gonna scat or whatever, I do that all after, and I layer my voice with different backgrounds, so it sounds like I'm sampling some instruments, or the producer would have sampled maybe some like an opera chorus or something, but it's really just layers
or
of
like
my
some
voice.
weird instrument.
It's just really cool stuff that we do. And like that's my favorite part, is coming back after with the ad-libs, sprinkle it all on top and just take it to a different dimension, you know.
Oh, wait, another important tip for someone starting to write is before you add all the ad-libs and all the opera and all the backgrounds and stuff she's talking about, your song has to be able to stand alone with just the basic chords and then the words. And you sing it and it should sound really good before it's even mixed, before, you know, obviously it's going to sound way better, but it needs to be able to at least stand alone to like the basic
And not get
ear.
bored.
Exactly.
People can't get bored. Like
Because you
this-
can add all the effects and add all that cool stuff, but if it doesn't stand alone, it's not going to be as good as it could have been.
Yeah.
Do you work on it and maybe let it sit for a few days and then come back to it?
It depends what song, but a lot of the
Definitely.
time, most of the time, yes.
I mean, all the time. Like
Yeah.
even if we're working on a song, we don't release it right away. We let it sit for a bit, and then we'll go listen to it
And
and
then
check
you'll
it out.
change, like maybe the whole hook, you know,
If every part isn't
the best it can be.
perfect, I know there's no such thing as perfect. If it's not as good as it can be, we have to fix
Like,
it.
could you do better? Like, if you listen to it and it sounds so good, I love it. It
But
could
the
sound
third
better
line,
though.
there's something wrong with that third line. People could turn it off. Fix that third line so they actually get to the hook. There'll be like an intro, and the intro's a little bit long, and then the verse is a bit boring. But then the hook comes in, and it's so dope, and it's like, whoa, why did they do that? A lot of people are gonna turn it off before they get to even hear the hook.
What's the relationship like with different producers, and what do you look for in a producer that you're like, okay, with this person I want to keep making stuff?
Certain producers you work with, okay, so we're both girls, we're both young, we're Middle Eastern, like, people are gonna look at us and take us like a joke, regardless if we're good or not, some of the time. Not all the time, but sexism and stuff, that's real. You go with certain people and they wanna take control and they wanna let you, or they don't wanna let you do most of it and they wanna take the reins, and that's fine, but, what I like working with is it doesn't even matter what type of they make, and what I mostly look for is how much control do they let us have over the songs we're making. And it's not like you'd think like, what do you mean let you? Like that stuff happens. Like the most famous people are, you know, not even being let, right? You know what I'm saying? The vibe with the producer, if we're comfortable with each other, and if they take us seriously, if they want to let us do, if they trust what we're doing, you know. They
That's
trust the
the
process.
most important thing for me is definitely the vibe. Do we get along? Is there a little spark, a little bit of a connection so we can make that
Are there any
dope
egos?
music?
Like,
There isn't that connection, then we're not going to make good music because you have to vibe. You have to have like a frequency going on that you guys are all on the same level and you're chilling and it's wavy before you come out with some dope music, you know? If it's arguments and everyone's fighting in the room, of course the music's not going to come out right. I mean, it's all about how you feel when you're doing music. The emotions that come out when you're singing. And it's half of it is being on the right note and having good technique. But the most important part is the passion behind it and like the feeling you put into it because people can hear that.
because energy is real. Like it travels through voice.
Like
it
if it's
travels
just
through
someone
sound.
singing, you can hear that versus if they're really into it and they're performing and they feel the music. Like you said, like it was raw. You could hear that. You know what I mean?
And I was totally blown away when I listened to the music because I didn't know what to expect. And I'm like, oh, okay, this sounds good. And then it came in with a different power. So where do you draw your emotions? How do you get into that space so you can bring that out?
So really, I think that space is just truly who I am. I'm most comfortable on stage, to be honest. Like it feels like my home. I want people to listen to what I have to say. I want people to listen to the words of my music and feel it. Being in that headspace is like totally taking myself to a different, literally a different world, and just, you know, and then spreading good messages. And I feel like that's when I'm most happy too. Taking those feelings from a lot of things that a lot of times when I'm singing, it's, you know, I relate it to things that have happened to me or something that I'm going through. So my feelings behind it are all real. I'm not faking anything, you know? So it's always derived from something I'm going through, or maybe a story that has happened in the past or something like that.
What's your actual honest dream? I could ask you and you could say, oh yeah, I want to sing here, sing there, sing there. But if you could tell me really, 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 what is it that you guys want to accomplish with your career? What
I
would
want
that
to
look
change
like?
the world, man. For the better. I think it's time. And I think if we don't do it, then no one else will. I mean, we got to take that responsibility. It's a new generation. It's the 20s now. Enough bullshit, people. Like, and I truly believe, like I said before, I know I'm being redundant, but music is a universal language, and I think that music can fix this. And I think that that's our purpose. Legitimately, truly believe this is our purpose. We have to change the world with our music. We have to spread good messages. You know, I want all kids to stop trying to look like the same face and everyone becoming a little minion because they don't feel secure or beautiful enough in how they were made. You know, like, no, like, you're unique, you're beautiful, embrace your flaws, because there is no such thing as a flaw if you really think about it. Like, we're all human, everyone's different, that's the whole point. We're not all supposed to look the same. We're not all supposed to have the same mouth. We're not all supposed to have the same eyebrows and nose. Because if we did, what's the point of being, like, then there's no such thing as you. Then you are the same as them. You know what I mean? Like, I truly believe I just want to bring that confidence back to people, and I want people to know that they should love who they are, and they don't have to change anything for anyone, and they should never care what people think. And you know, like, just be a good person. The energy you put on the world comes back to you, you know, karma exists. These are all messages that we want to spread with our music.
I'm very Christian. I believe in God. I'm Catholic. I think it's not only about bringing God back to the world because people are kind of pushing him to the side. I think it's about bringing goodness back to the world, which, if you ask me, goodness is God. And if you don't want to believe that, fine, but there is a higher power, or there is an energy, or this time and space exists if you don't want to say anything else. And goodness versus bad is just something that's been, obviously the whole world is based on it. The end of the world's going to be based on it. And right now, bad's kind of overpowering. If you look on Netflix, it's all the shows about the devil. There's Lucifer, everything's just about the devil. And like, it's interesting, but it's propaganda, if you ask me. And I think that someone needs to talk about it. Somebody needs to spread God and bring back faith and say, like, I'm going to stand here, I'm going to be at the top, and I'm going to look at everybody and say, you can do this if you believe in God. You work hard, and you're a good person, and you have a good soul. I don't care what anyone promises you. I don't care what you're doing in life. We need to bring God back to the world and just spread that energy that people aren't spreading, because it's not, like, accepted, or it's looked down upon, or like, oh, Catholics and Christians and God, like, they're just, all right, everybody just needs to get over it and just be good. It's not about, you guys are hating on a religion, that's hate. I don't care what religion it is. It's not about that. It's not about who you are, where you're from. It's literally just be a good person, and you will reap the fruits that you have sown, like, straight up.
So you guys have been doing this for a long time, and I bet it's not all like fun and I'm getting to do this, and you know, like, I know what the life of an artist is because I'm a filmmaker, and like, you have all these highs and lows of like, oh, this is amazing, oh, I don't know how am I gonna pay for my rent next week. So how do you guys have dealt with failures, that struggle of working on your
Honestly,
career?
man, I was literally crying before I came here. I was like, I feel like a failure, like, I don't know what I'm doing, because sometimes I'm human, you know, like, no one's perfect. Like, you literally get so beat down sometimes, and you like don't see what's possible. But you just gotta snap out of it, or make yourself snap out of it.
Perseverance and
just
persistence.
keep going. Just keep going. I truly believe that you will be rewarded by God, by whatever you want to believe, the universe, the energy. I think there's enough room for everyone to succeed. That's why I don't truly believe in jealousy. If you want to be a singer and I want to be a singer, we could both be singers. People like everyone on their phone has about 100 plus different artists on their phone. You know what I mean? Like, there's underground artists, there's alternative, there's this, there's that. Don't tell me only one of us can be a singer. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. You put in that energy, you will be rewarded. There's enough room for everyone, period.
Well, now that we're talking about other artists, I would like to know, how do you guys approach collaboration with other artists, and especially what you were touching on, where you see someone else and they're killing it, and you might feel kind of insecure, or maybe they don't want to work with me, or how do you deal with that, and how do you approach people that you want to work with? And tell me about that relationship.
You know, everyone's gone through it, especially when you're trying to level up and work hard. You know, there's going to be some disappointments that happen, but really, and you know, like if you want to work with someone and they're just not, or you're not big enough to work with them yet, just keep moving, because eventually you're going to catch their eye. Eventually something's going to happen.
And they'll come to you.
Yeah. The tables will turn. Just keep working hard. I truly believe that.
Right now, let's think about whoever's watching this. They want to level up and they want to work with someone. In your experience, when you go for that ask, what has worked?
Being genuine. Straight up saying like, hey, I'm an artist, or hey, I'm a songwriter, like this is some of my stuff, or like let's work together, like hit me up, I live in, I don't know, wherever you're from, LA. More times than not, they will at least reply.
Yeah.
Just if you're genuine. You don't want to act, you don't want to put on a front, act all like, you know, big, like you just be real. And a lot of them will give you the time of day, because the ones that are worth it want talent, not names. So if they see something that they like, they will work with you. They will, and it's not just to help you, it's because they have a genuine passion for music too. And if someone sees someone and they don't like the stuff, or they see it and they get jealous, or they don't want to, you don't want to work with them anyway, you know? So if they don't respond, it's usually, sometimes they just don't respond, you know, they're busy, whatever, but like, if it doesn't matter, like, you will get responses.
Yeah,
exactly.
so right.
Now, in your case, do you think that since you have been in LA, has that multiplied your chances, or have you been able to see that your career is growing faster, or nowadays, could you still work on your career in some other city?
You don't have to be anywhere specific.
You can work from it anywhere.
Yeah, don't believe that. I mean, you could, I mean, the internet's a thing, man. That's all it's about. You have a phone, you have a laptop, you're straight.
And think about it, if you're in LA, there's a million people doing the same thing you're doing.
There's more competition here,
My
honestly.
hometown, Farmington Hills, Michigan, I was the only songwriter I think I knew. You know what I'm saying? There was no one fighting against me, so like, you do have that advantage if you're in a small town.
Yeah. But then you guys level up and move to LA.
We really just needed to get away from a lot that was just happening there, and like, we first moved out here because a lot of the producers we were working with were here.
And we were filming our reality show too, and it was basically, the plot was about us moving from Detroit to LA, yeah, exactly, to like work on our careers and show like the actual process, because reality shows are usually like,
Once you're
oh,
already
we're already
famous,
famous,
yeah.
oh, we're already rich, oh, I'm already a singer, watch my life. There's what show you watch them when there's no one.
So tell me a little bit about the show. I worked on a little bit of reality shows behind the camera, and it's exhausting what talent has to go through. So tell me about that experience.
It was definitely fun so far filming it. It's called Not Normal, but it's spelled with a K, and she came up with it, the linguist here. But the whole point is it's actually not normal. It's KNOT. It's not normal. It's about, yeah, like she said, us moving from Detroit to here, LA, showing you the process of actually trying to become famous or becoming famous.
And it's genuinely real too.
And yeah, like none of it was scripted. Like all the drama and all the family issues that are in the show and the culture stuff, and I mean that's all real stuff. And it shows us starting to make music, and then
us going on tour.
And then we actually got to go on tour, which was really cool.
And we have like 2 seasons, or just one or two unreleased, and it's from like Dubai, Thailand, like
filmed
traveling.
like a couple short films over there. They're not released yet, but they're gonna be really dope.
And
one of them
coming back
actually
here.
is for La La Land, and it's actually a mental health awareness short film. It's actually Girl Interrupted, and it's our version of it.
The 90s movie.
So I took Angelina Jolie's part, and she took Winona Ryder's part, and it's really cool. Like, we're excited to drop that, too.
So that's all been, like, made, but, you know, we're shopping and we're in the works. Shit doesn't just go, like, it's gonna be, like, down and then up, and then I always remind myself, literally with this thing, like, it's not just, that doesn't exist. It's never gonna be that way. Like, it will go down and then up a little and then down again, and then, like, you never know, but you gotta keep going.
It's very complicated, because I've been working on my feature documentary for 2 years now, and it's about to release, but it's still like pushing and pushing and pushing. So I definitely understand that. So tell me about the new EP that we were talking about.
I only have one EP released called Farrah, Please. Again, written by both of us, mainly her. And now we have a second one coming out, and this one is called Lies. She came up with the album name. It's actually named after one of the songs on the album. And it's gonna be really dope. We have some Middle Eastern sounds in there. We have one that's a total Detroit hard rap, super hard.
Okay.
It's really dope. We have a video for that coming out as well.
We have a couple dope pop records with
Yes.
this really dope producer, Devram. We love him.
Yes.
And it's one of the few of the first songs we made with him, but we're releasing them finally.
gonna be
like
dope.
you said, you ever look back, those were like 2 years ago we made them, maybe 3 years ago. Like about a few months ago, he literally totally changed, you know, the main part. Like,
Totally changed.
It
But
all
it's
depends.
like to
For
make
the
it
better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
From the first EP, like I said, I was got to go on tour, 16 cities around the U.S. After
Wow.
that, performed at Wango Tango. Got to open up for Ariana Grande, Shawn Mendes. Was really cool. This past fall, I used the same music, the same EP, to open for Chris Brown. I was Bud Light sponsored in Detroit, which was really cool. So now it's finally time to drop some new music
so that we can get started with that and like,
in
you know.
that process, and hopefully, God willing, go on tour with that, and get more exposure and have people really find us and listen to what we have to say.
So if we can finish the interview with this last question, how do you guys think that we could live at the highest level possible in our lives?
Love yourself and love others. That's the only way to be happy. If you don't love yourself, you can't love others right. If you don't care about yourself, you can't care about others right. And you will never be truly happy if you're putting yourself down.
I agree actually a lot. Find the strength to keep going. Find the strength to not care what people think. Find the strength to know that you're who you are and there's no one else like you. And that's a good thing. Because you're unique. You're you. Everyone has flaws. Don't look at something and you're like, well, I'm kind of effed up for this. Well, you're human, bro. Everyone's human. Of course you made a mistake. What do you think? We're plastic dolls? No. Like, just forgive yourself, forgive others, keep moving. Don't hold that guilt in your heart.